Well, good morning, everyone. And I'm just getting settled. Just got back from the store, grocery shopping. Let's just look at some of my friends here are watching. We are on chapter 18 of Lon Milo DuQuette's Enochian Vision Magic. And we're getting into some pretty meaty stuff here, full of diagrams and charts and things like that. But it's really kind of important because we're moving in our chronology of events from the over 2 years of Dee and Kelley. For all intent and purposes, it sort of looks like they were farting around with other angelic systems. They'd made contact with a whole array of angelic intelligences, and, who carefully and methodically took them through an ordeal of bringing through what seemed to be two separate systems of magic, and then all of a sudden, it seemed like they turned up the juice. And in the last 90 days of their angelic workings together, they brought through with breathtaking speed the material for the system that would eventually be developed as the Enochian magic system as we know it today. And the chronology of events are sometimes kind of hard to follow, which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. And we're at the place where Dee was trying to get some practical information of a political nature that concerned his friend Prince Lasky in Poland. He kind of wanted to know if Prince Lasky was ever going to be king of Poland. And in so many words, the angel said, yeah, we can tell you that, but you got to understand, angels look at things a little different. And you have to sort of understand how angels view what you mean when you say Poland, or prince, or king, or even surface of the earth, or planet, or angels think bigger, in bigger terms. You got to sort of think like angels. We're going to kind of show. So to answer your question, you're going to have to understand the angel's point of view when you say words like Poland. And so they set up a system that broke up the surface of the planet into 91 sections in a similar way that certain spiritual entities have control over specific geographic areas, things like that. At least that's what Dee and Kelley were hoping. But they got more than they bargained for. Yesterday we started chapter 18, and we brought it right up to the point of where I'm describing all of these figures here. Now I posted a couple of them to give you an example on my page. Just scroll down, you'll find it. But here's the key to the columns of that table. Column 1 is the number of the air or aether or particular heaven involved. Column 2 was the sequence of the 91 parts of the earth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Column 3 was the names of the 91 parts of the earth as imposed by man. Now I give the example Egypt, Syria, Mesopotamia, Cappadocia, Tuscia, Parva, Asia. Well, these are arcane 16th century names of these parts of the earth. My good colleague Robin Cousins allowed me to print his essay in this book of what those parts of the earth would generally be in today's geopolitical atmosphere. So like number 2 would be Syria, okay? So, but column 4, it's column, 4, is the same names of the 91 parts of the earth imposed by God. In other words, these are the angels' names for those parts of the earth. While we'd call this particular section Syria, the angels say, well, we call Syria Pascum. Note, these are also the names of 91 governors of the Aethers. We don't know about these Aethers yet, do we? We're getting ahead of ourselves, but so do the angels. We'll talk about that later when we get to chapter 28. Column 5, from top to bottom, is the tribe of Israel, the quarter of the earth assigned to the dispersed tribes of Israel, and the angelic kind, and the numbers of good ministers that they have working for them. Column 6, the divinely ordered symmetrical characters. See chapter 21. Note, mystery of the missing symmetrical characters 28, 29, and 30 would be revealed to Dee and Kelley later. See chapter 24. Now, I'm sure that doesn't make very much sense to us right now, but just to point out, that's a symmetrical character. Okay. Now, how they got those was a very interesting thing. I want you to pay very special attention, because this is a wild, wonderful, magical wonder story. And I'll try to make it as clear as possible. I do that in the book, but not all of you have the book. Using the second of the 91 parts of the earth, Syria, as our example, we see that its divinely ordained name is Pascum. The tribe of Zebulon is assigned to Syria, Pascum, and are the angelic king Zingen and 2,360 good ministers. Now, the symmetrical character for Pascum looks something like this. Well, looks something like that. See how it says P-A-S-C-O-M-B. Pascum, and it looks like that. Just keep that in mind. You'll be tested later. Okay. In order for you to appreciate the amazing circumstances surrounding the reception of the Enochian material, it will be important for you to have a general understanding of the chronology of events that took place in the spring and early summer of 1584. This I will try to provide in the following chapter. Now, I'm going to have to budget my time here with us. I'm going to talk about chapter 19, the pink talisman. Actually, it's the golden talisman. Actually, and this thing is really on display at the British Museum. Little gold talisman, slightly smaller than this. The golden talisman and the watchtowers of the universe. And there's a blow up of one of the arms of one of the 4 watchtowers. The epigram is from the angel Ave, June 20th, 1584. Now therefore hearken unto me, for I will open unto you the secret knowledge of the earth, that you may deal with her, by such as govern her at your pleasure, and call her to a reckoning, as steward doth servants of the Lord. Very early on the morning of Wednesday, June 20th, 1584, Edward Kelley was aroused from a sound sleep by something or someone patting him on the head. He opened his eyes and beheld an angel, clothed with feathers, strangely wreathed about him all over, quote, standing at the head of his bed. The angel would later identify itself as Ave, one of the sons of light from the Siglum de Ameth. Ave proceeded to project a vision that would dramatize the elements and structure of the entire system of Enochian magic as widely practiced today. The following is from Dee's diaries. Quote, there appeared to him, Kelley, 4 very fair castles, standing in the 4 parts of the world, out of which he heard the sound of a trumpet, and then it seemed out of every castle clothed a cloth to be thrown on the ground of more than a breadth of a tablecloth. Out of every gate then issued one trumpeter, that's right, whose trumpets were of strange forms, wreathed and growing bigger and bigger toward the end. After the trumpeter followed 3 ensign bearers. After them, 6 ancient men with white beards and staves in their hands. Then followed a comely man with very much apparel on his back, his robe having a long train. After him came 5 men carrying up his train. Then followed one great cross. About that 4 lesser crosses. These crosses had on them, each of them, 10, like men's, their faces distinctly appearing in the 4 parts of the cross, all over. After the crosses followed 16 characters, 16 white creatures. After them, an infinite number seemed to issue and spread themselves out orderly in a compass almost before the 4 said castles. The highlights of Dee's visions would eventually be memorialized upon a round talisman etched in gold, which is today on display at the British Museum and in Lon's hands. Much as I'd like to believe this object was fashioned by Dee himself, it's almost certainly a forgery patterned upon the flawed image printed in Casaubon's True and Faithful Relation. For reference, however, I will continue to refer to both the vision and the image of the Golden Talisman. The 4 castles or watchtowers formed a cross, the center of which was a circle supported by 24 columns. Figure 64 illustrates the lower quarter of the Golden Talisman. Ave would elucidate upon the nature, powers, and hierarchical status of the characters on the Golden Talisman. Eventually, he would go into far greater detail by projecting and organizing all of it upon what he called the Great Table, or the Great Table of the Watchtowers. The Great Table is the Rosetta Stone of Enochian magic. How it was received and how it is connected to the information Dee and Kelley had already received concerning the 91 parts of the earth present us with perhaps the most convincing proof that the two magicians were indeed in contact with non-corporeal intelligences of a superior order. And that's where we'll stop. Tomorrow we're going to dig deeper, the great unlettered Great Table and the four great seals. But just to wet your whistle, to tantalize us, remember this symmetrical image? Now, it appeared to Dee and Kelley in vision. We'll talk about it. Just as a line. I believe the line was yellow. And it stayed visible as it hovered over a sheet of paper. It stayed visible long enough for Dee to copy it down with pen and ink. Now, each of one of these squiggly lines will eventually find a home in the elemental tablets. We don't know about these elemental tablets yet, as we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But just to show you, I've got mine lettered in Enochian script. But you know what? This is the elemental tablet of water. And that, remember me saying that one of the governors of Syria, the angels called Syria Pascum? Well, here in the water subangle of the water tablet, starting with the letter P right there and going like that, that's where Pascum lives. P-A-S-C-O-M. Each of those governors has a 7-letter name. They go zigzagging through the elemental tablet, all without crossing each other. And there are 4 of those elemental tablets, making a total of 91 of these angels, all with a squiggly line like that as their signature or sigil. Now, that might not sound like it was too miraculous of a thing, but let's just wait till tomorrow and the next day and see how miraculous that really was. I hope you'll be with me. This is one of my favorite parts of the Enochian system, and it still blows my mind. And it blows everybody's mind that kind of has a grasp of the method to the wonderful madness that went into creating it. But I've got to go to another store. It's Thursday and Constance is tapping her foot outside the door. So we'll see you tomorrow. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.